Oh, I know.
The microphone, that service is not subject to the microphone to live.
Yeah, I hear you.
This last year,
I said it's not straight on you. I've been hit late.
plus the, you know,
Where would you just put one of these in that second one, Ross?
What's that?
Where would you put one of these in that second one?
Yours went up to that?
It went up 100.
It's like 14,000.
I'm not gonna tell you, I had tax increases
Technology's not cheap.
years in a row.
Technology's not cheap.
Every year's increase,
No worries.
good. That's mine, that's
That
where
one in food services, conference was quite a bit bigger TV.
I was one of the few.
Yeah, around 14 grand.
They're pretty close to the same price. That one was a little bit more just because of the bigger TV.
All the neighbors, and I told them how many times. Don't you wanna walk to the end of the lake bank and look over the lake bank? Why would I?
So I don't know how, the room's pretty big though, so I don't know how well the microphones are picked up.
Then that's fine. Be so damn slow.
We'll talk.
That's a better alternative, because you said it would be
Do that.
60 to do all that stuff.
Right.
Well, I used to see
2 years
it.
later,
Yankee complained about
it's assessing it down to 199. And it's been that way
No, I think it's just.
forever.
Yeah.
It's probably put fire up the TV.
Yeah, I don't know what you see how it is last year, they jacked it up.
Doing from my desk. The TV kept me tired.
I couldn't sell it for that.
We haven't had a. What's that?
Never been in. I said, did you drive by? No. Did you do anything? He says, "Well, it's most of the state equal things."
I haven't fired that.
I said, did you go across the board? Well, no, some of it's, I think, some of
Now, are you going to see the same work you want to do? Mike Paul,
I'm out one day. I gave when I gave them a scare. And I said, there's I get these random days.
Okay. They couldn't explain how they come up with equalized value.
You know, your only option is to get an appraisal. And then when you have a book, you have to book it. But, you know, it's a catch-22. You can get an appraisal. Yeah.
Never appraisal. I used to do appraisals every year. Never appraisal.
I know that my neighbor put his up and he got 600 calls. He was on, his was on. He pulled it off. He turned out his daughter was there, but it was coming out of the area. So he was going to follow her. And all of a sudden she got a job in the area. So she decided to stay. And he says, no, I'm staying. So he pulled it off.
I get like 3 a day.
No, I don't get very.
Oh, there we go. All right, call the meeting to order. Roll call. Supervisor Kroll asked to be excused. Looks like we got the rest of the gang, right? All right, fabulous. Would ask for a motion to approve the April 3rd agenda. Supervisor Poppy, second by Haskey. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Approval of March 6th, 2023 minutes. Supervisor Lukes, second by Supervisor Yonke. Any discussion, corrections, comments on the March 6th minutes? Seeing none. Need to take that, Supervisor Yonke? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public commentary. Do we have anybody who wishes to speak to the committee this evening? Nobody? Anybody? Anyone wishing to speak? All right, going once, twice. Go on. Administrators report, personnel report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have in front of you the personnel report, which seems pretty light. Probably the couple big things that you're seeing in there is Chelsea Dean, our jail dispatch sergeant, had resigned. You will see on the agenda a motion or a request to fill that position. We'll continue to then recruit for that position internally and move someone up. As for the CLTS case manager, I believe we found I believe that one we had found. CCS, we're still advertising for. Custodian, we'll be doing interviews this week. I believe we have 4 to interview. Highway worker, I believe there are 3 to interview. Information technology specialist, there will be 4, Ross? 3. So, but before we go into that, I guess I would have, since Ross is already here, he could kind of give an update as to, what we're looking at from an IT standpoint.
Just an update from the last time that we met. So I have 3 candidates that I'm going to interview, but I looks like I may have to come back and revisit the current pay plan. And I had mentioned that last month because the 3 candidates that have applied that qualify are over the starting amount for that position. So we may have to adjust that. So that's the update.
And we're seeing similar with human services that in some of those positions, they're looking at step 1 starting salaries that are $1 or more than what we're providing. As for highway and maintenance, I haven't seen anything as of yet from that standpoint, but we're continuing to kind of run up against salaries. So we may need to, as a county, consider looking at a wage study. I mean, we've put together a pay plan, and yes, we've made some adjustments. It may be now a good time. It's been over a decade since the county has done a wage study, bringing in professionals to do so, and that may be something that we want to do. Other than that, if there's other questions, I can try to answer them.
Any questions? All right.
All right. Next is to approve 2 vacancies. As I had just previously said, Sergeant Chelsea Dean had resigned, and because this is not part of the cascading of the ramping up for the new jail, this is a position that needs to be approved to fill. And absolutely, we would recommend that the position be filled ASAP, but I want to give the sheriff any opportunity to speak if he is so inclined.
No, I think Scott pretty much captured the whole thing. It's just one of these basic necessities. We got to have our first line supervisors in place. So we've been running for about 2 weeks now without one. So as soon as we get that knocked out, much approved or much appreciated.
So I would recommend to approve filling of the jail sergeant position.
I'll second. Motion by Massler, second by Yonke. Any questions, discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So the next one is we have Julie Schleiss, who will be retiring in May. And so then that position will be open. So I am wanting to fill that position, but in some conversations with the judge, we're looking at, because ultimately approval has to come from the judge, because both the positions that we're talking about are judge appointed. What we'd like to do is explore the possibility of doing something similar to what is being done in Door County, which is a joint register and probate family court commissioner position. What that does is, would you like me to try to explain that, Your Honor, or would you like
I'd be
to?
happy to explain. So what Scott and I had discussed is Door County has this registered probate and family court commissioner position. What we have now is we have registered probate and we have a family court commissioner. Julie is a full-time registered probate. She has a staff of 1.5 plus herself, so 2.5 in the office. Doug is a private attorney who does our family court commissioner position. So if there's a need for him to hear, he hears divorce cases at the temporary stage, he hears like injunction hearings and those sorts of things. If I'm not available, he'll handle bail hearings or preliminary type hearings for me in my absence. What Door did is they combined those two positions into one, and they hired one attorney as a full-time position, and it covers all that stuff. So the registered probate office and we've got the court commissioner. Like I said, right now it's Julie and plus Julie, one full-time staff and a half-time staff, and then our family court commissioner receives some allotment of salary, and then they receive another allotment for staff time and some other budgetary. That would all go into one budget, and Scott probably can speak to the potential savings there if there's any. But more importantly, we'll have someone on staff when I am not available. They're able to cover, like I said, some of these preliminary proceedings, and then you'd have a professional handling the register and probate duties as well as the family court commissioner duties.
From a staffing standpoint, we see the advantages of there is a commissioner there basically throughout the day, regardless of whether the judge is there or not. So that is helpful. As for some cost savings, we believe we can save some of that, not necessarily from a salary standpoint, but we can do it from a office and from an office standpoint, in that if the family court commissioner is now part of the county and have staff there, the need to put money towards some outside staff and some of those office items is less of an issue. So can I give you a specific number as to how much? No, I know it's in the thousands, but it's not like many thousands.
This person would have to have a law degree, I'm assuming.
You have to be aware.
Where are these savings going to come from if they're not coming from salary? I mean, what's the difference going to be if they have to have a law degree? I assume there's going to be a substantial increase in cost.
If you put the register of deed and I'm sorry, not the register of deeds, I apologize. Register and probate salary and the family court commissioner salary, and you combine those, and you already have the benefits from full-time register and probate, I think that can cover most of the cost for a full-time family court commissioner, register and probate. I think where you would be seeing some of the savings is there's currently $27,000 put towards staff for the family court commissioner, as well as another 5 to 10 for office costs for the family court commissioner. So I think you can save some in both of those areas.
Just back up a little.
Sure.
Register and probate, that's full-time position with benefits, right?
Correct.
Family court commissioner.
Is part-time and receives no
Part-time,
benefits.
And we don't know what part-time, half-time, 3/4 time,
I
1/4
think you
time.
receive a salary in the neighborhood of
.49.
$50,000.
Okay, you don't know offhand.
It's within a few thousand.
No, I mean, is that half-time then? That's gotta be better than half.
I don't know what you would consider it, but half is. For the purpose of discussion, I think that's fair.
Okay. Other questions? So
I
what
can
are,
tell you that Door does that with one attorney and one staff. I'm not suggesting that's where we'll get to, but I suspect Door has more case findings than we.
what are we being asked to do here this evening?
First, if I would like to have approval to, I would like to have the approval of combining both the register and probate and family court commissioner position after Ms. Schleiss has retired.
I mean, I don't know what the rest of the committee wants to do, but I could not support it at this point without having a lot more specific information. I mean, it sounds like it's potentially a good idea. I think I probably would support it, but it's,
A registered probate right
Questions,
now is just somebody that's secretarial,
No, Julie manages the staff and a half.
but I mean, what, you don't need any
No, you don't need any.
law education for that part.
We probably want to have someone with probably who came from a law office or some experience in probate with wills and so forth. Some legal background, that wouldn't be strictly speaking required.
what staff, sorry, what staff does register and probate have?
Right now, it's the full-time registered probate, one full-time staffer and one half-time staff, so 2.5 total.
And then the family court commissioner is a half-time, but money is also given for staff in their office. Roughly, again, about $25,000. And I think that's where we would probably see the savings.
When is Julie retired?
Not till May. But I'd rather, do this a little bit earlier because then that allows the judge time to talk to folks.
So in register and probate's office, we have register and probate full-time.
Correct.
And we have, who is the one full-time staff?
Bonnie Josky.
And that's the
I have,
deputy,
what is the position?
deputy register and probate.
Deputy register and probate. And we don't know per se what scale that is.
That's a full-time staff.
But we don't know what pay scale is on that at the moment.
I can tell you for deputy. Deputy is anywhere from basically $20 to $24.
And then we're talking a halftime, then what is the halftime
That's the
staff?
secretary, that's from 18 to 22.
Secretary. Halftime, 18 to 22. Then we go to the family court commissioner, right?
Correct.
And that has only the part-time
Correct.
and roughly 50, but we don't know what.
It's on the wage scale.
And what,
So you mean whether it's halftime? We designate it as halftime.
okay, so it's halftime at about 50.
Correct.
Then that's all the staff we're talking in these two departments.
Correct. Well, again, family court commissioner is a private office. And so the county does provide staffing, money, funds, about $25,000 for staff assistance.
In addition to the,
In addition
addition
to
to
the
the position.
salary for the family court commissioner.
okay, so there's another secretary basically.
Correct.
Another secretary at about 25.
Correct. In addition, there's roughly, I want to say 10 in what is considered office support. So office supplies, different things like that.
So.
But that would come with the new position.
So
Correct.
That
That's
would
what
be
I'm seeing where
savings.
some of the savings.
so we've got
is.
about $10,000 beyond this, beyond the 25.
That would go, yes, from the family court commissioner, that is for, which is for office supplies, office support, not office support, office supplies.
Paper clips.
Yep.
Masking tape,
Correct. legal pads.
They might get some research materials and that sort of thing. in addition.
Where I'm seeing the savings coming in is from the $25,000 and the $10,000. And that if we combine both of those offices, the need for, you're not gonna need the additional halftime office support that is there, that is right now being given to the family court commissioner. And I don't see you having to provide as the same amount of office assistance to the family court commissioner either. So
Okay,
that's why I'm
so
saying-
this
So it
is
would be eliminate one half-time position?
Sort of.
sort of, so this is what we have now, okay? I have that part. What are we going to?
You're going to a register and probate family court commissioner. You're going to a deputy register and probate.
Hold on, register and probate and family court commissioner.
All together,
That's one, that goes to one position.
correct.
All right,
And we have
and
a
what's the pay going to be on that compared to what it is currently?
Well, that's where we would have to have that conversation. I was going to be
Yeah.
putting both of those basically together.
Okay, so register and probate, family court commissioner, what else would we be?
You would have a deputy register and probate.
Deputy register and probate, and that's going to be a what, half-time, quarter,
That's,
three-quarter, full?
that's still full-time.
Okay, that's full-time. Okay,
And currently, we would still continue to keep the half-time secretary position in register and probate as well.
and that will be, okay, one half-time secretary. Same scale, presumably.
Correct, because they're the same.
Okay.
So where, again, where I see the potential savings is in the not having to provide office support to the family court commissioner since they'll be coming into the county.
Depending on the scale you use, I mean, the county is going to have, you're going to be reducing staff overall, right?
If I want to be technical, no, because we're not reducing county staff. We're reducing the funding that is, the funding to the family court commissioner for their private staff. Because,
So that $25,000 for their secretary.
correct,
Cancel out.
correct.
And I would hope you'd receive most of that savings on the office support.
But we don't, I mean, we don't know, we don't, without the scale and so forth for this position, we don't know. I mean, I don't have the total, right, complete of what we're paying currently, and then we don't know for sure what we would be paying in the future.
What is our register and probate at now? The wage scale?
Yeah, there's a register, Julie Schweiss is our register and probate.
What was that? I'm sorry.
She is above the pay scale now, and she's like 37 or something. The register and probate range right now, the max is 31, which is low. I think she's closer to 37, 38.
Family court commissioner now that you use part-time, that's just a straight salary, there's no benefits with that.
Correct.
So you have to, somebody full-time would be receiving the benefits.
Which if you have the register and probate and the family court commissioner, the register and probate was already full-time getting the benefits. So if you add the family court commissioner in there, it doesn't add any additional cost to the benefits side. It's
Well, if they're at a higher salary.
Yeah, slightly for when you're talking about for retirement and workers' comp, but from a health standpoint,
Right.
and that's where the majority is, where it's coming from, is your health and dental.
What is the total hours that are going to be available versus what we have now? How much of a difference is there going to be? Is there going to be any?
I'm not sure what you're asking, Mr. Chair.
So register and probate and family court. If we go to one position, we're going to go to one position. So we're going to have one person that's doing 1.5 positions currently.
Correct.
So it would seem that the county is going to get, in that sense, less value, right?
I would argue that's fair, but we're gonna have a person that's on staff 40 hours a week that is available. Right now, if we need to get on with the family court commissioner, you gotta call down to his office and sort of make arrangements to get down there. For the most part, Mr. Messman is responsible. There are times when, you know, you have to track him down and get things done, so. Now we would have someone literally across the hallway that if they need something signed, in fact, he probably would be set up on a state computer and you could log in. Take care of that. The other issue is sometimes law enforcement needs a warrant or something, I'm on the bench or not available, they have that staff person right there. So I think that would work a lot more convenient for the court staff. So yes, you are in theory giving up some. One after one.
You know, Door County pays for that?
I didn't look that up,
These don't come cheap.
but I was thinking that your corp counsel is probably a fair comparable.
$100,000.
Sure. To get an attorney is probably gonna take about that.
And if you're doing $50,000 right now for your family court commissioner, you add another 72 for your register and probate, that puts you at 122. If your health benefits are the same because they're both full-time position, if your dental are the same because they're both full-time, yes, your workers' comp is slightly higher and your retirement will be higher because of the wage, but not exorbitantly higher. I think where you see the savings is not only maybe a little bit from the salary, but definitely from not having to put money in towards office assistant to 20, 25 grand.
What would be the, we used to have, some will remember, that we used to have court counsel was half-time position. And why would you not have court counsel? For family court?
Because it's not realistic, Mr. Chair. The workloads don't allow for it anymore.
I seem to recall we did look into combining the court commissioner, or excuse me, court counsel with some of those positions, but it creates a conflict because as corporation counsel, I had to represent certain clientele people in front of the family court commissioner. It just, we did explore that, and the opinion we got was essentially,
As well as Judge Morrison was
yeah,
in front
the
of you.
chief justice.
It wasn't overly in favor of it either.
Questions?
Why would you need to have secretary?
Right now, your secretary is also doing caseloads. They're doing probate cases, they're doing juvenile cases and the like. So currently, right now, without a family court commissioner, you have 1.5 staff in addition to the register and probate. They're doing probate and juvenile cases. So again, we're not adding staff.
And to be clear, I'm gonna hire someone, and part of the interview process, I want a working, you know, this is not an attorney who sits in a desk and staff do the work. They're gonna be a working foreman, if you will, and I'm gonna expect that they're gonna be able to take care of some office tasks, including, if necessary, clerk a court hearing or whatever the case may be. So they're gonna have to, you know, prepare documents and do all the work as what Julie does now, basically, the work she does. It's not gonna be an attorney delegating to staff. You expect to get working.
That's gonna be a position easy to fill, but
I think so.
you think so?
Well, we have a family court commissioner, Mr. Messman, who's acting in that post now. I'm sure he will at least look into it or in fact pursue it, and maybe some other attorneys would be.
Is the current family court commissioner He's fine with continuing as is.
We can keep the status quo, we certainly can. But, nothing lasts forever. Mr. Messman has been practicing law for quite a long time, and at some point, we're gonna have, well, this is a good time to address, because obviously we missed slice. So it's a good time to take a look at this. Obviously, you fill this with a non-attorney position. I don't know how you undo that once you fill it. So, to answer your question, now is the time to look at it.
Sound better now?
Is there other information that the committee's needing?
I think
Well, I
a
think
pay scale would be kind of nice
Yeah,
to know what
the
range.
savings were, what the costs were gonna be, would be helpful, but.
I think it makes sense, but I think we need to see some concrete numbers.
Revert to my original comments, I wish I had firmer numbers on all of this.
I think it's a good idea.
I thought Mr. Administrator gets paid the big bucks, and he can put that together for you. I do think there's potential savings there. I think over the years with the advances to our court automated system and some other things, I think they make the work a lot easier than it has been. So we're starting with the projection of maybe 2.5, we'll see how it goes. Maybe they can do it with 2. I don't want to, I just put a door does it with 2. And they're a little bit larger. But I don't want to handicap the person from start.
So Door does it all with 2 full time.
They do the family court restoration for a position and 1 staff person.
That's it.
That's it.
Twice their size,
27,000 versus 20,000.
50% just about. I have a lot more money.
They also have 2 judges.
2 judges?
Yeah, the way of Jefferson.
Yeah, that's true.
2 judges. That means 2 elections.
Would the committee feel more comfortable if I were to receive the pay scale from Door County and then recommend a pay scale? The part that I'm leery about with the pay scale is, one, I'm not sure what that would necessarily be, because if we're looking at possibly doing this, what is that sweet spot to bring someone in?
Well, if you're gonna go with an attorney, it's gonna be $100,000 or more.
So if
Most
that's,
people get good money.
so is that,
Rightfully so.
so is that an issue for the, is that an issue for the committee that it could be similar to what Corporation Council's wage scale would be?
Well, I don't think you're gonna be able to get, I mean, you're not gonna get an attorney for under $100,000. I mean, are you going to give them a higher pay scale than the Corporation Council? I would doubt that. You're gonna be at $100,000, basically.
Well, then,
But what is the current register and probate?
like I said, the current register and probate makes roughly $37 now.
So about 75 to 80.
And current Corporation Council, the current pay scale for Corporation Council is $46 up to $56.
76, 77 compared to 100, right?
Correct, but then you're
But
adding,
then
but you're adding the 50, but you're adding the 50, you're adding the 50 from the Corporation Council.
Right.
But she's also at the top of the wage scale, so a new person might not be getting that kind of salary.
Well, that's true, too.
Correct.
I wouldn't count on it going down. But you're talking, I mean, you're comparing, yes, it is a little bit less in theory, but you're also talking one position versus one, which we're assured is one position going to be able to do as much as 1.5.
That's the expectation.
That's the theory.
And I would put the pay scale similar to what Corporation Council is.
if you get an attorney, I mean, I don't know what kind of an attorney you would get for the registered probate scale.
It's more than just right.
Probably not one I'd want representing me in a
If so,
court.
then it's just like a public defender, the old days when it was only $40.
Attorney at that rate for traffic. All right. What do you want to do? Supervisor Robda, are you, about to, come up with a great thought here, or are you just studying the files up there?
I think it's a good idea. I think it'd be a lot more efficient. If we could come up with a number.
And I guess
What
that
what is corporate counsel?
corporate pay scale is 46 to 56.
Where is he right now? Is he at 50? Is he at?
He's at roughly 50, yes. It's at 49.95.
I'm thinking this number would have to be somewhere around 110 grand.
I'm gonna guess that I'd probably, if for the family court commissioners / register and probate, I'd pay them no more than what we've offered corporation counsel.
I don't know how you could go higher than what you pay corporation counsel. Unless, of course, we want to,
Then he might apply for the job.
usually our thinking goes, oh, well, we should just, raise corporation counsel too while we're at it.
So I'm sorry, so to clarify, what I'm requesting is that to be able to fill a register and probate family court commissioner position with the same wage scale as the corporation counsel.
I would make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Augustine. Second by Supervisor Haskey. Further discussion?
Sounds like there's a little time constraint.
Well, I want you to make a good decision here. This is an important decision. If we have to muck our ways through a couple months here, we'll figure it out. We will do it. We have good staff and we'll all work together. I don't want to just rush for the sake of rushing.
Could we get some better numbers like next month before we?
What numbers are you wanting? Because I can't give you exactly what the salary would be because that would be negotiated. I can give you the salary range, which is again, 46 to 56 bucks an hour. As for again, I can give you so I can do that. I can have Mr. Kunish then say what the projected WRS number would be, what the projected workers' comp number would be, and workers' comp number would be very small difference, a few dollars. But otherwise, from the health and dental standpoint, we assume exactly the same. We would assume family for both.
I think as far as the numbers go, we basically have them now.
Correct. So then the only difference is, again,
The
I'm
difference-
assuming that we will not have to pay money towards an office assistant that we do under the family court commissioner. So that's where I'm thinking we're going to see thousands of savings. How much?
The difference is you're going to be paying about 25,000 less, but having one person versus 1.5. So the person that you're going to have in the position, you're going to pay about 25,000 more than you are now.
Yeah, I understand.
But this person is supposedly going to be as efficient as the 1.5. And of course, if this individual isn't, we can be pretty confident that in about 6 months, we'll be requested to fill the half-time position in addition. Isn't that what we would anticipate?
That's what I'm afraid of.
And then what's the committee going to do if that happens?
If you're asking for a future promise, I can't give you a future promise. All I'm saying is that, do we believe that this can be done with the staff that we're saying? Yes, we do.
Other questions? So it's a desire to make the decision tonight. We've got a motion, a second.
I think Jeff is kind of proven that he runs a pretty tight ship when he.
I'm not worried about Jeff. You know, if you have an unknown quantity that, you know, you're basing this on. But, you know, anyway, I'm sure all.
Seeing this as a new position, it's not on the pay scale, shouldn't we be creating a number, a pay scale line for this new
Well,
position?
we're using
We
corporation.
do, and we would use corporation council's pay scale.
That's what I guess that should be. Was that included in the motion?
Yes,
Okay, it should be, yeah,
you use the corporation
Right.
council's pay scale.
okay, that clarifies it. All right, other questions? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
I know you'll remember this if any of us are before you.
I will.
I'm not sure. I didn't sound, I meant in a positive.
You got the tape off.
I'm not sure I took that. I'm not sure he took that the way I was intending, but well, we'll find out.
Keep up the good work.
All right. All right, county office space, moving on.
I just wanted to have a general conversation, nothing, there's no decisions needing to be made. I've had some conversations with courthouse staff as well as we're going to be having conversations with human services and public health staff as well as staff within the administration building here. When we look at the courthouse, if I was having some discussions with the courthouse staff of possibly putting some, again, if we're putting family court commissioner and register and probate together, seeing if there was a way that we could have staff closer together to help each other out. So there is some general conversation of possibly moving some staff into some existing office quarters, not quarters, but one example is possibly bringing register and probate up by the clerk of court's office. I know that there's been some concerns at times that when clerk of court staff is doing court and folks are on vacation or calling sick, that there's some difficulty for, or I shouldn't say difficulty, there's some, at times it's cumbersome to then pay for court fees and the like, as well as get information. So we're going to be having some more conversations regarding possible reconfiguration of courthouse office space. In that same respect, there will be some conversations with staff in this building and the Public Health Human Services building about what to do with the old ADRC space. Currently, right now, we have some economic support offices there. We have a children's therapy room there. But after the offices have been painted and carpeting has been put in place, I know there are some questions as to could we be moving some things around in either of these two buildings. Perfect example, or a couple different examples, are that finance does not necessarily have to be up here, neither does IT. There's thoughts of trying to use those ADRC offices also for additional therapy rooms or additional client rooms. So I was just wanting to give the committee a heads up that those conversations are taking place. Nothing has been resolved or decided upon, but we'll be trying to do that sometime in the coming spring, summer months, so that way those moves can happen accordingly.
Okay, are there questions? All right, I assume you'll be talking to the people impacted as you go along.
Correct. I've had one meeting with courthouse staff. We will be having another one shortly. And then I will be aligned to have another conversation with administrative and public health staff. Administration and human services staff as to what could be possibilities for the offices down at the ADRC as well.
Any questions there, Becky?
Pardon me?
Got room in there?
There is one vacant workstation within my department right now because I did lose staff over the years.
Right now, register of probate is at the courthouse,
Yes.
and that would, you would say they would be coming over here.
No. No, I'm thinking is we could possibly move some space either within Becky's area. I know that we've got filing cabinets and filing cabinets and filing cabinets. Maybe as we go more and more electronic, could some of that be moved down to the basement, which could possibly open up some more space? Or do you put someone up close right near the window as opposed to otherwise? So there's some different ways that we could look at some of those things. Otherwise, there's talk about, I've even thrown out, though I know it's not overly, it's not as well received as that we could switch floors and have the register and probate and DA instead, the clerk of courts switch over with the DA and move register and probate within the clerk of courts. But then that changes things as well because now clerk of courts is down a floor below the courtroom. And so there's still conversations to be having, but I wanted you to know that there are conversations happening and therefore we may be looking at some movement of staff and departments.
Okay, any other questions? No? Opioid update.
For those of you that may have heard, there is a second round of money that will be coming in. You will be seeing a resolution, I believe, at this county board meeting for the approval of the acceptance. We received in round one roughly about $439,000 in opioid funds. Right now, though they're not giving us hard numbers. They say take about 75% of round one, and that's what will be round two. So that would be another 330. So we're talking about $760,000 that if we put both rounds together, that we would be receiving in opioid funds, depending on the court settlement, anywhere between as early as, I want to say 8 or 10 years to as long as 18 years. So we're continuing to get funds in. We have not done any recommendation as to allocation. We have had one meeting so far. We will be having another one. I'm hoping to have this month because I know that we had met. That was Corporation Counsel, Public Health, Sheriff Department, Human Services to talk about what could be possibilities for recommendations for designations of those funds. So,
Is it assigned to anything specific or not?
there are specific, from the court settlement, there are specific expenditures that it must be spent on. And those have to address opioid and addiction services.
Is there a time frame that money has to be spent? Once we receive it, does it have to be spent a certain amount of time frame on those services?
No, because again, it's a court settlement. The money is then ours, but they stop after, depending on the court settlement, 18 years. So no, it's not like the ARPA funds where we have to designate and spend within a certain time. It's just, they must be spent on certain things.
So wouldn't be spent on horses,
Could be, couldn't
service.
it? That's treatment.
Yeah, no, enforcement is not treatment, Mr. Chair.
Oh, if we're housing them, that's rehabilitation.
No, enforcement, no.
That's
It is,
true.
it is very clear.
A lot of times
It-
you'd like them to be there, then you know where they're at.
Correct.
Well, not only that, they're getting cleaned up.
Temporarily.
So
And it does help.
enforcement is not, as for, so incarceration is not considered treatment. But as well
It does
as,
work.
what?
It does work.
I'm not, that's
Very
that's
definitely
not,
does.
Get 'em out of
I'm
the
not-
cycle.
I'm not going with the philosophical part. I'm not disagreeing. All I'm saying is that they're talking about that the funds have to be put towards the addressing of addiction. So that can be services on, in other words, counseling and Narcan strips and fentanyl strips and a number, and programs and surround programs and resiliency and different things like that. But if it's thought that that can be used towards the new jail, that is not possible. It's not possible,
Well, I'm not asking
So-
for that.
right?
So it
They
basically
need a
was
place
saying
to be
social
in.
serv, I mean, human services.
Human services, and some of it could go towards, but again, it has to be programming. So if there is something from a law enforcement standpoint, again, it has to direct towards addiction. So just paying for a deputy to be on patrol does not meet the criteria. So I just want people to be aware that we're getting another tranche of money.
All right,
As for Door Kiwani Days, we had, for those of you that are unaware, April 19th and 20th. Door in Kiwani County every 2 years has legislative days down in Madison. We stay usually at the Inn on the Park. I forget what it's called now, but there are roughly 5 issues that we'll be taking to legislators. Usually we have high school kids that come as well. If you're interested in attending, please contact either Ben Nelson at KCEDC or Michelle Laurie at Door County Economic Development for hotel and those types of things. But if people want to know what the agenda, what the issues are, one is water quality initiatives, the second is childcare initiatives, affordable housing, restoration of the Potawatomi State Park Tower, youth apprenticeship, and arts as economic development. So those are the 6 legislative items. I can send these to anyone that may be interested. We do, again, we roughly do this every 2 years.
all right.
Has anybody signed up so far?
Not from Kiwani County. And then last but not least, I had a meeting last week with Troy Streckenbach from Brown County, Eric Pritzel from Oconto County, Ken Pavick from Door County, and myself, just to start general conversations about government collaboration. And the reason for that was the thought that if there is going to be an increase in shared revenue, of which everything is still up in the air, we know that there has been some talk that there could be a pot of money available to local governments that do collaborative initiatives. And so the 4 of us got together to talk about the various types of services that we provide. And is there a way for us to share services, merge services, if we have excess capacity to help each other? Some of the things that we talked about was child support. We talked about veteran services, clerk of court, corporation counsel, emergency management. Troy was talking a lot about jail and 911. I think that was going to be a little bit more difficult from our standpoint with a new facility coming online. But that was our first meeting. That was for an hour. We're going to continue to look at possibilities, but we don't want to do anything as of yet or pull the trigger. And part of the reason why is we would just want to have those ducks in a row, that if there is initiative money for collaboration, then we've done a lot of that work ahead of time and we can be first in line for those funds.
All right, any questions? All right, next meeting would be May 1st, on that evening. It's fine if we keep that time, but if we go over 45 minutes, I will turn it over to Supervisor Poppy. So,
Either that, or would you like to have May
well, usually when we start moving stuff, we get into all manner of conflict. We, how about 5:30? I know Supervisor Yankee likes to work right up till he comes here.
So do I.
I like to be clean when I come in.
We don't mind.
Aaron, you gotta milk the cows when you get home.
Every day.
So
So
we go to
5:30?
5:30?
And the cows don't come.
All right, let's move that one up to 5:30 that day. That'll allow me plenty of time.
Aaron, just turn those robots up a little faster.
There you go.
Have a carousel.
Don't your robots
Increase the
speak
speed
Spanish?
by 12%.
Ride the merry-go-round
Very
with
well.
them. All right. Motion is adjourned, or, there we go. Second. Supervisor Lukes, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. I need a motion to adjourn.
6:51.
You're always on the